Okay. Okay, cool. We're live. Good. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live with me, Julian Dawkins. Listen, gather in, get closer. I'll tell you why, because you are in the right place right now as we're going to unpack and really understand what agentic capabilities are entering the customer experience fold and how it's already positively impacting the relationship between brands and their end users. So plenty to cover over the next 45 minutes or so. But don't worry, it won't just be my voice that you'll be hearing for the next 45. I'll be joined by an illustrious panel of people. And genuinely, if I could just quickly vibe code like a digital red carpet right now, I would, because these gentlemen definitely deserve it. So we have one of the leading European creative minds in my book, the flamboyant Davor Bruketa, Chief Creative Officer at Bruketa, Jinek and Gray. Welcome, sir. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Good. We have also the brains behind billions of conversations. That is the charming, the ever so modest Irvin Yagetich. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Hi there, doing great.
Good stuff. And very shortly as well, who's just finishing off the LAQO will be Marco Kosick, who is Director of Digital Business at LAQO. So he'll be joining us in just a few moments. But yeah, in fact, here he is right now. Hello, Marco. How are you doing?
Great. Sorry to be late.
All good, all good. You're in time.
Just
You're
in
on time
time.
in my book, so you're good. Good. So listen, people who join the call, audiences from wherever you're from, let us know in the chat function whereabouts you're joining us from. Be sure to drop your questions, your comments in there for these guys as well. Represent where you're from, where you're dialing in from, whether it be morning your time, afternoon, or evening. Let us know. We'd love to hear where you are right now. And then final note as well, just above my head, I think like the top left should be a QR code. Feel free to scan that and you can learn more about the discussion points we have today. You can see some of the materials and you can get in touch with the team that way as well. So please implore us with your questions throughout. That would be really, really good. All right, gentlemen, listen, let's get through this because there's lots to cover. The first topic, let's talk about conversational agents and essentially, what they are and why they should matter to us as end users, but also to businesses as well. Because from my point, conversational AI has grown in prominence. It's infiltrating so many different parts of our personal and our professional everyday lives. So maybe if we start by grounding ourselves in what we mean when we say conversational agents, because I think most of us are familiar with these primitive chatbots that can really quickly answer questions. But what we're seeing is a really distinctive shift from these response agents or response kind of scenarios into responsibility agents that can have their own logic, make up their own minds. So, Irvin, please shed some more light on this from a product perspective. What is the defining line between AI conversational agents and these traditional chatbots that we've all become accustomed to?
Yeah, I will say from the user perspective, perhaps, rather than from product, but pretty much users don't like classic chatbots. So this is kind of the necessary evil that you need to meet on some website or somewhere, in order not to get directly to the human. And pretty much the era of chatbots is over. And because of the advancement of generative artificial intelligence and capabilities of large language models, like AI agents can do a lot of things, and they're transforming chatbots. So pretty much they'll also be transforming websites and applications. So because of the intelligence that will be sitting on the backend and on the brand, pretty much users will be able to do much more with the brand, and that's the core differentiation. So pretty much chatbots can answer, but conversational agents and agents can do things, can act. So to cover your question, pretty much that's the main difference.
Yeah, thanks, Owen. Yeah, interesting. Actually, you said about the era of chatbots is over, right? And yeah, I tend to agree with that statement as well. Davor, from your experience, you've designed numerous award-winning experiences that capture attention, that alter people's behavior. How do conversational agents change the rules of engagement when compared to traditional data touch points? What's the main purpose?
When ChatGPT appeared for the first time, we got seriously excited because we thought this is the holy grail of marketing. Now I can talk to millions of people in human-like, super personalized interaction at once. I can talk to a million people at once. It's something that was historically never possible, or at least not in two directions. And we called Infobip and we asked them, can you make me an example? And that's how LAQO chatbot was born. Uh, and we thought, okay, now everybody is going to do that. But what, 3, 4 years later, uh, there is no so many good examples of using this tool in this way that we thought, not just for utility purpose, but also for brand building. And there are lots of problems that appeared. First of all, people don't like to talk to AI. And I will share some learnings later on about that. But still, there is a long way in front of us how to use this tool to the maximum, not just for utility reasons, but also for brand building.
Mm-hmm. Too right, yeah, Daryl. Thank you for that insight. Um, Evan, maybe back to you as well. When you look at where brands typically start with AI, what's one of the biggest misconceptions they have about what agents should be doing on the brand's behalf? Are there
Mhm.
common overstatements that they tend to think of?
Mhm. So I would say there are like three misconceptions. First misconception is that agents are pretty much advanced chatbots, and that's not true. Agents are pretty much fundamentally changing how we can serving customers, how we can shape customer experience. That's the first thing. The second thing is when building AI agent systems, usually um, enterprises and businesses start really broad, like mapping out the complex processes and then like starting really broad. And this is like what we have like a great experience with LAQO and with Marco's team. We didn't start it broad. We started like really focused, like what we want to do, what we want to, which KPI we want to achieve, where we want to focus, what kind of experience we want to provide to LAQO's users. And we started with the actual problem that we want to solve, actual opportunity that we want to capture for the user. So starting small. That's the second thing. And the third thing is pretty much changing the conception of how we are thinking. And maybe I'll talk about that also later. But fundamentally, agents can really augment our kind of working force and changing from the scratch how we are serving customers. So I think that in upcoming years, we'll have like really it will be like a renaissance for customer experience because human labor is not anymore like a bottleneck, because we'll be able to do so many more for customers and so many more for customer experience because of the commoditization of large language models and AI agents and reasoning models. So that's kind of three pillars how pretty much what enterprise needs to be aware when they're starting building agentic systems in the communicational experience.
Yeah, yeah, it seems to be a really pivotal time right now, isn't it? Like you said, this renaissance will come when we look back at this stage in years to come, because we're in between so many different aspects. We have the technology that's evolving so much. Davil, you mentioned about the ChatGPT area almost. That's like commonplace now in such a short amount of time, versus these agentic capabilities that are becoming more prominent now as well. So you're a really exciting time. Marco, to bring you into the conversation as well, LAQO, you guys are admired as a customer-centric digital insurer. You know, you're Croatia's first 100% digital insurance business. Talk to me briefly about LAQO's journey with conversational AI, from your initial launch with Infobip to where you are now. What does that story look like?
Yeah, so we started in 2023 with very simple use cases, basic Q&A answers that already existed on our website, general question about payments and straightforward definition like responses. And this was our learning phase. And the next step was moving into more complex territory, like product specific questions, coverage explanation, policy conditions. And at that point, the assistant had to be accurate, had to be consistent, had to be compliant, not just helpful. And after that, we introduced premium calculation for travel. And at first, this was still quite manual behind the scenes. It was essentially logic and Excel tables supporting the conversation. And what we have today is, fundamentally different. The conversational agent is now connected to our web shop, can complete the entire journey autonomously, from understanding the need to calculating the premium and to handing over to the payment. So that's why, we are not longer talking about a chatbot. Internally, a conversational agent means a task completing digital assistant for us, with control decision making and clear escalation to human agents. And we continuously test it and fine tune it, from language, tone, prompts, product knowledge, and we measure it by resolution effectiveness, not clicks. Today around 30% of all customer queries are resolved by the assistant, many within just a few messages. So we have a great result so far.
Yeah, it's fantastic to hear. I mean, this really talks to what I was saying at the beginning about the well, and we'll cover later as well, but the sometimes the anxiousness that businesses have around AI adoption, and also like the buzz around it too. Does it live up to the hype? Does it actually give tangible outcomes, this AI, or is it kind of just a bit of a fad, a nice thing to have? So what you've documented there is an actual story from this like early on design to answer those complex questions to today, this autonomous agent that's able to handle different tasks. So you really have entered a new class, new category of agent. And what I'd like to do now actually is just to put it up on the screen so that the audience can see this LAQO agent as well. And perhaps, Marco, you can walk us through it, give us a bit of a synopsis around this agent.
Definitely. So what you'll see, or what you notice immediately, is how fluid the conversation feels. The agent naturally extracts the information it needs directly from the conversation instead of asking the customers to fill in a form, you know, and based on where the customer is traveling and all the other relevant data, the agent proactively suggests relevant additional covers, always in context, not as a sales push. And all the inputs are checked in real time, and the offer is calculated behind the scenes. And before the moving to payment, the agent clearly summarizes the customer selection. So everything is transparent and easy to review, and only then agent sends the payment link. So it's very fluid and it's very easy for the customer.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I would just say, definitely say to the audience as well, scan the QR code that you can see within the chat as well, and then you can watch that video back in your own time as well. But Marco, thank you so much for your commentary through that. What I love so much about the agent is that it's so unobtrusive. like like
Yeah,
it's so intuitive. You don't need to have some kind of um like long documentation as to how to use it. It's there available over WhatsApp right now, so it's an entry access point that people are familiar with, and it's literally just having a human-like conversation with like a human agent to to work out your travel insurance, and then it sends you this unique URL so you can complete your booking as well, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I think in all, AI is pervaded across so many numerous functions, right? So we look at operations, I think of analytics, automation, my question to all of you is why should organizations invest specifically within the conversational AI arena? Like, what is it about conversations as a mechanic that makes it really powerful compared to other AI applications? Is it the convenience? Is it what Marco just showed us about the familiarity with using WhatsApp and it's intuitive? Is it the fact that you can enter like end users' personal lives over a channel that's uh, readily available for them? What is it about investing in conversational AI that's powerful for businesses?
I think it has two streams. One is functional, another is brand building stream. Uh, of course, from you can talk with millions of people at once in human-like conversation. You can get things done automatically, fine. And for example, LAQO chatbot is at the stage when it gets things done. Uh, but also, it can be a really, really strong brand building tool. What we learned is that people hate when chatbots pretend to be a human, or it can be a messaging app, or it can be voice. In both cases, people hate when the chatbot, when the machine is pretending to be a human. And from the brand perspective, it's very handy if the brand has a brand character. In 2019 in Cannes, Institute of Practitioners in Advertising System One Research presenting a 3 decades long research when they were proving that brands that have brand characters have more effective communication than those who don't. And since we have these LLMs, we discovered one more fantastic use of brand character. Brand character can become the face behind the chatbot, because obviously you're not talking to the real spider. In this case, you're talking to the brand mascot. But people don't have aversion against talking to the brand mascot. But if we would pretend that this is a person from customer service, they would hate it. And whenever we are doing such chatbots, we are putting some kind of mascot behind. People get really familiar with them. And also, what we discovered that uh, there must always be a human alternative. So if you're calling a company or a brand, and you should always say, okay, we want to wait for the real person to answer your call and deal with your whatever you need. Or you can try to solve this with our AI agent or a brand character or something. Most people would say, yeah, okay, I will try to solve it with the brand character. But if you force people to only use an AI chatbot or voice or messaging, then people get pissed. And they feel that you are saving money to them, that your service is not premium. Uh, it's a little detail that really makes all the difference. And most of the chatbots that are in the use at the moment are not brand building chatbots. They're just more or less functional thing that solves problems better or worse, or does not even solve problems. Uh, I think that still in front of us is time where we are going to build some character into this communication. Because it's when you're talking with a human, there is always this something of personality. Brands are like humans; they have personality, and we should add personality layer on these functional chatbots, because then we are using the whole potential of the thing. And I think there's I mean, even with LAQO chatbots, there is still this development of that part is in front of us.
I think that's so important what you touched on, and I think one thing I want to jump on is you said about having the human element there. For me, it's like, yeah, if you ask me on paper what I want an agent to be like, I want it to be like a human too. But actually, what you're saying is quite unique. You're saying no, don't intimidate. Sorry, uh, uh, don't try and be like a human. Don't imitate one. Instead, because that could be seen as quite patronizing even, instead take on this brand identity instead, because that's unique. It's people want to know that they're not talking necessarily to a human. You don't need to trick them. So that's a really important takeaway, actually. So yeah, thank you for that, Double. That's important.
I mean,
Um,
when you call my bank, there is an AI chatbot, voice bot is pretending to be a human, and of course you can see that it's not human, and it gives you such a bad feeling of bad service.
mm. Exactly. Yeah, it can leave a disdain in the mouth, isn't it? If it's not seeming genuine. And I think you're right. You need to have that human element as well to show that you're a premium service. That there is a natural fallback if needed. Listen, I want to play a quick game with you guys. Yeah, just a 2-minute game, real quick. What I want to do, and the audience watching, you guys can play along as well. Use the chat function. I'm going to give you guys, I'll pick on each one of you, but give you a quick scenario. Yeah. And I want you to tell me whether that scenario qualifies as an agent or not an agent. Okay. And yeah, I don't want any overthinking. You got 1 second to give me a quick response, whether it's an agent or not. So I've actually written them down, these scenarios. Who's volunteering to go first? Who would like to be
I
given
think
these
Karen
scenarios?
should go first.
Yeah.
He's
Okay, Marco. Okay, let's go.
first.
Okay, let me give you 2, and then
Thanks, Marco.
play along in the chat as well. No right or wrong answers, Marco. Don't worry.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. AI answers FAQs and provides static help articles, but that's it. Is it an agent or not an agent?
Not an agent.
Okay, cool. I tend to agree as well, and I think the audience do too. Last one for you is the AI collects travel details, it validates inputs, and it generates a purchase link automatically. Is it an agent or not an agent?
It's an agent.
I think so. I think you say that too because
Why did he get so easy questions?
Let's get some more.
Now we'll go to the hard ones, Marco.
Yeah.
Urban, let's pick on you a little bit.
On me still.
AI automatically schedules appointments when it recognizes your intent in the chat. So it will schedule an appointment based on your intent, basically. Is that an agent or not an agent?
That's an agent. It acts based on the understanding of the intent.
Cool. And last one for you is the AI proactively sends a renewal reminder and allows one-click policy renewal within the chat. Is that an agent or not an agent?
Proactively, it's just a simple. It doesn't reasons. It doesn't act. I would say it's a borderline case, gray area. We can discuss it.
Good. Cool stuff. I wanted to be a bit on the line with that one, so yeah, I agree. And then Dabble, a couple.
That's
for
a
you
trick
as well.
question, right, Julian?
Dabble, for you, the AI orchestrates back-end systems to complete a full transaction end to end. Is that an agent or not an agent?
No.
Not an agent?
Automation.
Okay.
There's no reasoning behind, or?
Okay, cool. We'll leave this out. Okay, and then last one for you. The AI gamifies interactions to drive engagement, but doesn't execute any business actions. Is that an agent or not an agent?
Can you repeat the first part? I had a glitch.
Cool. AI gamifies interactions to drive engagement, but doesn't execute business actions.
I think it's an agent.
What would you say?
Agent.
Agent. Okay, cool. Good. I hope you guys watching along as well on your phones at home. Give your responses in the chat as well. But with that, let's move on to the next section. Move the conversation along a little bit. Because we're pretty much at a point now where AI is shifting from experimentation into actual business utility, completing these high complex tasks, like what Mark has just showed us as well, right? And research is showing as well that AI adoption is growing, but with that growth, nearly 90% of organizations are actually capturing that that measurable value at scale. So I put it to you, Marco. You were an early adopter of AI in your category. Why take the risk of being a guinea pig? Why not just wait for your counterparts within your industry to go and experiment first, see their failures, and go from there? Why did you want to be one of the first to serve your customers via AI?
Yeah, I can say we didn't adopt AI early because it was trendy, back then. We adopted it because our customers were already there. We already had a very simple, fast, and fully digital purchase journeys on the web, both and on our mobile app. But the problem wasn't complexity of the journeys. The problem was context. People communicate, ask questions, make decisions daily in messaging apps. So instead of trying to reinvent our processes, what we decided is to translate an already efficient journey into channels that feels more natural and familiar to our customers. Of course, being early always carries a risk, but this is in our DNA. And in our experience, standing still carries a big risk, especially if customer behavior is already moving in a certain direction. So our approach, as Erin also said, was intentionally balanced. We move fast, but with strong governance, with continuous testing and very tight feedback loops from the real customers.
Mm, mm,
And adding to that, LAQO is the brand for early adopters, and we never want to disappoint them.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
And I think it reinforces the customer centricity you have within your business as well. You got that risk appetite, but you almost don't weigh it as risk. You weigh it as how else can we deliver value for our end users? And I think that's really important. And Marco, sticking with you as well, at what point did you realize that agents were valuable enough to complete the job on behalf of customers?
Uh, Interestingly, we realized that quite early, already at the level of basic Q&A. We saw that the assistant could handle entire conversation independently without involving human agents at all and do so consistently. So that gave us the confidence. But as I said, we didn't jump straight into complex use cases. We made it very deliberate decision to move into phases. So step by step, the agent from simple information handling to more complex product related question, and finally to where we are today to full process execution. And I would say another strong signal for us was readiness for operation, for removing repetitive work. Once the agent took over routine interaction, our human agents could focus on complex, detail-heavy cases, where human judgment really matters. We have a very small contact center of only 15 people for both sales and customer care. So the impact was very big for us. I mentioned before, 30% of our interactions on WhatsApp now is going through 100% is going through the agent. So it's a big help for us.
Mm, mm. Marco, these are all great takeaways, great nuggets in terms of this journey that you've been through. But what was the sticking point early on, especially when you had to position this perceived value to your stakeholders, right? How did you get buy-in when you spoke about conversational agents internally? How did you have to distinguish them against the chatbots that you originally implemented and talk about the prospective benefits you were going to have? How did you position that internally?
It's really like also the Dover said, it's expected from us to be the first to be the innovators. So when we need to, I would say, sell the idea to our board, that we are going with to some innovation, it really doesn't take us long. And as I said, we had a great result in a very early stages. So it was a very easy decision to move to this phase and to keep going into another phases. We have great plans for the future.
Fantastic. Davil, in your experience, what makes agent-led experiences genuinely more engaging rather than gimmicky? You kind of alluded to it a bit earlier, of not making it imitate a human, for example. But Are there any other tactics that businesses can use to make it really sticky?
I think everything the brand does is to have business purpose very clear. Very often, people do stuff because it's cool to have an AI agent without clear idea what this agent is for. So once you define the purpose in your business process, that's one thing, and so it needs to have real value for the customer. And very often we are looking at stuff from technical perspective instead from the consumer perspective. So what this thing will do for the customer to make the customer experience better. And the second, what my brand stands for, what this touch point should be, and how it has to look like to be in line with my brand. And very often we completely for companies completely forget about that thing. This is a touch point like any other touch point that you have with your customer, but not like any other. It can be the most important touch point, the most because you can really talk as a brand in human-like conversation. So you need to design your bot in line with your brand personalities, brand tone of voice. There is no better touch point than this one to design it in that way. And not just to make a technical machine-like thing that just talks with your customers. And you couldn't train people in contact center to act as a brand. I mean, you could to a certain extent, but here you can really make this machine to talk like in a perfect way to resemble your brand. And from the brand perspective, I think in the future this is going to be the most important touch point. But or marketing is doing it and then it doesn't have a clear functional purpose, or technical people are doing it and then it doesn't have a brand.
Yeah, too right. Yeah, I think organizations need to see that the conversational agents aren't there to straight away deliver on bottom line or anything like that. Anything like that. In terms of operation, of course they can do, but first you have to align those personality traits. You have to give it those distinctive features aligned with your brand, because that's ultimately what's going to make it unique and stand out. Daryl, as well, when it comes to agency, I mean that's painted around everywhere really loosely. Everybody says that they have agents that act with agency, act with their own instinct, act with their own logic. But how would you say within this category, what defines real agency? Is it the orchestration? Is it the validation logic? Is it the ability to trigger different outcomes? Is it a combination? What is it that defines agency for these conversational agents?
It's the feeling that this tool has autonomy and can act, and it decides, it acts, it executes, and that gives this feeling of agency. And I think it can have built in really sophisticated psychological tools, not like this simple bots that we used before, in persuading people, in helping people, in something that even people in contact centers were not trained that well. I mean, they were to a certain extent, but it's really sophisticated tool that helps you navigate customers, your customer experience, customer relations.
Super. I mean, perhaps the last word from you. When you're speaking to peers, when you're speaking to customers, partners, where do agentic systems consistently outperform traditional automation, and where do they still struggle?
So pretty much it performs on the processes which are kind of messy and they have like a lot of different. It has like really complex flow. Needs to do like a lot of different kind of things in the same time. This is where AI agents kind of can easily do. We can like easily build orchestrational flow with AI agents. So this is like where they outperforms. Like without AI agents, it will be like really long tasks to develop and cover all these processes. But the reasoning part with the agents can cover and can like do uh, make this messy and complex data and processes pretty much easy with an AI agent. Where there's struggle when the outputs needs to be like really deterministic, where there's like no room, no margin for an error. So that's like that's where we need to combine like AI agents, put them like in a workflow, and then pretty much guard their output in some predictable workflow. So anything what's kind of where we need to be like deterministic, there is how we kind of put the agent in a workflow and then predicting the output of an agent.
That's super. Let's move the conversation on to design. Yeah, for me, I mentioned before, design must be unobtrusive. It should be delicate when handling sensitive information or sensitive scenarios. It should be appropriate to the user, recognize their moods, their intent. Um, let's talk about how best organizations can define the design for the conversational agents. Marco, for you, I would describe your agent, your travel insurance agent, as a guiding force rather than like a pushy selling one. How intentional was this distinction during the design phase?
Yeah, it was very intentional. You know, from day one, like our human agents, the AI agent was designed to guide, to explain, to educate, not to push. You know, that wasn't UX choice; it was a strategic one. In insurance industry, customers don't want to be sold. They want to understand what they're buying, why it matters, and whether it actually fits their situation. So instead of optimizing for persuasion, we optimized for clarity, for confidence, and the agent focuses on answering questions, explaining coverages in simple language, and helping the customer move forward at their own pace, you know. And we also made a very conscious decision to allow agent to slow the process down when needed, for example, by providing additional explanation, or also to escalating to a human agent if something becomes complex or sensitive. And in our experience, trust matters more than speed. So if you guide people well and give them clear, consistent answer, conversation flows naturally. And that's why we see the agent as a service assistant, and I would say maybe a wingman. So someone who helps you make the right decision, not the sales script, you know, trying to close the deal at all costs.
I think that's really important because this is almost like inclusive design, right? Because you mentioned things like slowing down the pace, for example, having the agents anticipate the next moves rather than assuming what they're going to decide as well. And I think that's really important. But you did mention a topic of the industry that you're in. It's highly regulated. You're in the insurance field. What guardrails are essential from day one, and how do they impact the design for your agents?
I would say three things from our side. So accuracy, consistency, and knowing when to stop. You know, insurance is highly regulated industry, and when you introduce AI into customer-facing communication, especially written communication, like it's in our case, you have to be very deliberate about how it works. And one important thing to clarify is that our agent does not search the internet or generate answers freely. It is trained and fed exclusively with content we provide and approve. So this product information, policy condition, internal knowledge base, and that allows us to control what the agent can say and how it explains insurance product, which is crucial in a domain where wording really matters. Uh,
Mm.
At the same time, we built in very clear limits. So when the agent detects uncertainty or situation that requires deeper interpretation, it doesn't guess. It hands the conversation over to a human agent, and we see that handover not as a weakness but a safety mechanism. So I would maybe close that AI doesn't especially in insurance. It totally defined boundaries. And those boundaries are what make responsible innovation possible in our case.
Thanks, Marco. Yeah, there's a whole fruit bowl full of different things that you had to acknowledge and go through, and you had to go back to the design for. So yeah, credit to yourself and the team at LAQO for producing that all. Devil, one for you. We've had a question from the audience who asks, what are the biggest technical and design challenges in making a WhatsApp AI agent understand context, intent shifts, and natural language in the way that users expect? Maybe you can take that one on.
Maybe I'm not the right person to answer that. Maybe Erwin is a better person, but what we know with all these AI agents, the shit in, the shit out, and it's very important to to be very picky. What are you putting inside? And we experimented a lot, and the quality of input is very much related with the quality of output and what of documents and how these documents are, how precise these documents are, how deep these documents are, and then the quality depends on preparation. Preparation is everything.
Yeah, agreed. Preparation is super useful because the AI is only as intelligent as the input that you put into it and where it can feed from. And Marco, you made a really good point about the documentation. The AI only draws and fetches from that documentation that you've input, that's factual, that's branded, that you can rely on, rather than having to source, from the internet and
And
perhaps creating more hallucinations down the line.
and also it's better if you have brand character behind the chat, because brand character can say, look, what I'm saying here is informational, but as humans I can also make mistakes, so it's really important. Please check once again, because there is no brands in the world that want to be inaccurate in anything, including these conversations. It's not
Yeah.
100% possible.
Yeah.
Intrinsically, these models are making mistakes, but it's only how you frame these mistakes. And if you say in advance, look, this is the fastest way to do this, but if if this is matter of life and death, please check it once again. So there are ways to solve the problems only by
Yeah.
communicating in the right way.
Yeah, like just to chip in also on this question. So Dower made here are like really big point, like shit in, shit out. So pretty much what we were doing with LAQO is like obsessing with their data, with their like policies, with their like handbooks, how their like humans today are doing the job. And based on these policies, handbooks, we kind of train the system on top of our RAG pipeline. We kind of put all this data into our RAG system. We use the tools how to kind of give this data into the RAG, and then through the insights and monitoring, we kind of figuring out how the agent is performing, how it's doing like day by day, and then we're like continuously improving the system, improving the answers, and making the decision like what will be handled by human agent, what will be handled by the AI agent. So this kind of combination with kind of human in the loop, I think this is the important part, and of highlighting that humans will stay in the loop, but maybe just like doing maybe more abstract work, and the agents will be doing, AI agents will be doing like this front face work, and humans will be monitoring the outputs of the AI agents. So thinking in that directions, like obsessing on the data, obsessing on the like processes, how they're being handled yesterday before AI agents, and then having this like connected with the technology and with the communicational channels, and then observing the outputs. It's kind of the elements how we overcome these technical and design complexities.
Irvin, you said about design complexities. What does responsible by design mean when building agentic systems? Uh, how should organizations approach this in the first place? How do they break that down?
Mhm. Well, I would break down responsibility in a couple of segments. One is like business responsibility, or like primarily ROI, return on the investment responsibility, so that we don't build the technology just for the sake of the technology. And the second one is like the security compliance and so on responsibility. In terms of ROI and the transformation with AI, I think that's like now popular topic. It's really important to kind of identify things that will stay here before AI and after AI. So pretty much customer experience, users, we as the humans, as the customers, as the consumers, we like personalized approach. We know that when the brand understands us, we like when we can do things like easy, when something is convenient, when we have like affordable prices. This is something what will stay forever. There will be like no chance that customers will stay like, oh, I wish I could wait like 2 more weeks for a product, or I wish I could pay this like €100 more. So that's like, I think that scenario will not happen. So basically, when we know this like fixed points, then we can figure it out with how we are doing this today and what are our bottlenecks today. Where we can go into imaginative scenario, like what if we employ like 100 more humans into our contact center, how we'll be serving customers in that scenario. And basically this is where agents are stepping in. So we are not employing 100 humans, but we are kind of augmenting work of 100 humans, but we're staying with the same headcount, but we are augmenting work of like additional headcount that we will not be hiring in the future. So I think that's really important kind of thing that we are noticing where we are implementing AI agents and AI is that support centers are staying with the same headcount. It's not like that it's reducing the human working force, but it's augmenting, and it's doing like much more work if like for the kind of workforce that is now being like a digital workforce. And that's pretty much on this responsibility in terms of ROI. So kind of providing customer experience which is on totally another level with a kind of uh, AI agents which are not like so big investment as it is like of hiring additional like 100 people. On the other side, like in terms of when you're talking about responsibilities, in terms of like making things safe, secure, compliant, I think it needs to be this thing needs to start like from the very beginning of the design of the solution, and then this needs to be like processed through the whole implementation, and then after when it's like live in the production, through the observability, through the tracing, through the like different tools, how we are kind of monitoring the performance of the system. So pretty much it starts from the design, kind of mapping the critical points in terms of like security and compliance and so on, and then continuous monitoring of the execution and iterating and making the system better. So this is like how to make responsible solutions, responsible agentic solutions, and this is like how we approach it.
Yeah, I think that's really important what you touched upon, right? It's almost like a business case that you need to build around the design element as well. So yeah, how is it going to impact on daily operations now, and also show through a business case, of course, you're not impacting current workforce either. You know, you're almost complementing how things are done rather than replacing one for one. Because again, given our discussion today, that's almost like not necessarily what conversational AI agents are there to do. They're there to serve its own purpose rather than replace something that's traditional and being done already. To close off this segment around design, uh, each of you, if you could think about just one design rule that you have to abide by when it comes to designing agentic conversational journeys. So for me, for example, I'll keep it simple. You know, making sure that the conversational agent is designed to be as accessible as possible. You know, I'm tired of going onto websites and seeing, you know, where's this contact us button, right? It's buried within several different clicks of the website. So my design ethos will be make accessible, make it apparent for the end user. How about yourselves, Davil? What would be your design principle?
Make it useful and make it charming.
Nice, clear, easy. I like that one. Marco, how about for you?
Like I already said, I think from my perspective and from my industry, the accuracy and consistency is the two the most important parts of the design. So this would be it.
And Irvin, how about
Um,
yourself?
have a clear purpose, clear purpose, clear goal for the customer and for the
Nice,
business.
good. Um, Listen, when it comes to looking ahead, there's many people on the call, no doubt, in product roles, marketing roles, engineering roles, you name it. They're all going to be thinking to themselves, where do I start as of tomorrow? Davil, maybe from you, what's one of the mindsets that they need before they even touch the technology and they weigh up what's out there? What should they be thinking about first?
I'm the brand guy, and of course, we always start from the brand perspective and brand communication. But as Marco said, and Erwin also, I think it needs to have very clear purpose in the funnel in customer experience funnel, and you have to find where does it fit the best, and then you have to involve your marketing team into it to make sure that this, as I said, in the future most important touch point, that this most important touch point will have the right brand feel that will not only solve problems, functional problems, but also build on brand equity.
Yeah. Questions coming on the chat. Um, Question is: are conversational AI agents on WhatsApp genuinely improving customer journeys, or are they simply replacing forms with chat bubbles? So, a bit are we saying, is there tangible value behind them, or are they just this simple, nice to have aesthetic that serves a nice to have purpose? Who can take this
Give
one
me a
on?
Maybe
second.
maybe maybe I can chip in with this one because before the conversational agent, the our core purchase journey itself was already digital, simple, fast, especially on the web and mobile. So that friction appeared when customers started the journey in conversational channel like WhatsApp. At that point, the experience became fragmented. A customer would ask for travel insurance in WhatsApp. Our call center support agent would then need to collect all the necessary information, calculate the offer in a backend system, and finally send the proposal by email. And from customer perspective, that means switching between three different modes of interaction. First conversation in WhatsApp, then opening an email with a payment link, and then finally completing the purchase on the web. So the switch adds cognitive load and increases the chance of hesitation or drop off. Not because the process was complex, but because it was broken into too many discontinued steps. So what the conversational agent, especially in WhatsApp, allow us to do was to collapse most of that journey into a single guided thread, and by keeping the customer in one conversation until the final payment step, we reduced the context switching, increased clarity, and we made the overall experience feel much more natural and continuous. So I think this is the real effect.
Yeah, I think Marco, this is exactly what people are after. Like they want to hear those anecdotes from yourselves, those alike who have been through those journeys, because there's still that hovering question: where does the value lie? How do I ensure that it's something practical and repeatable as well? And exactly to your point, there, you're saying that what you've done is coordinated into one. What your users were going through a multi-step process of before, and you've linked it all up into one, and the conversational agents are the foundation for that.
Yeah.
And all the points we've mentioned before, the accessibility, the design ethos, etc. I think that's where the value lies. Listen, we're going to close off because we're nearly at time. It feels like I've only been with you boys for like 10 minutes, but maybe uh, last word from yourselves quickly in terms of summary as well. Irvin, when it comes to next steps for like in terms of your roadmap that you're controlling of as product director at Infobip, what are you excited about really quickly for 2026?
I'm excited about like a lot of things. Infobip will be stay tuned with Infobip. We'll be doing announcing like big revamps of our platform, like especially now at the end of Q1. We'll be focusing like doubling down on AI and AI agents. This is like no brainer for Infobip as a communicational company. This is like a clear path that we are pursuing and that we will be working on. And we're really looking forward to the innovation with our partners such as LAQO and Davor and all other partners, because we strongly appreciate when we can have the opportunity of co-creation. And pretty much, yeah, looking forward to the 2026 and the new
Right.
things that we'll be building and releasing.
Thank you, Irvin. Davil, really quickly, what do you think are going to be the trends within this space for 2026? What one or two nuggets should we be looking out for, do you reckon?
I'm really bad in predicting the trends because I thought by now that everybody would have an AI agent implemented, but it's not happening at the speed I really wanted. And I thought when it 3 years ago, I thought it's a holy grail of marketing, but still implementation is rather slow. And I'm still hoping that in 26 I will do less traditional ads and more briefs for AI agents.
Wicked, wicked. Cheers to that indeed. And Marco, last word to yourself. You've spoken about LAQO's journey. What does 2026 look like for you?
Expanding beyond travel insurance is, I think, the natural step. Our portfolio also includes MTPL, Casco, property, and pet insurance products that customers have typically many more questions and need much more deeper explanation to feel confidence. So that's exactly where we see the biggest long-term value of conversational AI. Helping customer understand more complex products, not just transact quickly. So this is on the product sales side. We also want a deeper orchestration across whole journeys. From claim support, status updates, document collection, and looking ahead, we also clearly see AI voice as one of the next steps because many customers still prefer speaking over typing in certain situations. So this is some area that we'll definitely look into this year.
Marco, what you need to look about for 2026, as good as those were, was expanding into the UK because I want some of those services myself. So if you can.
That would be great. That would be great.
Let's make it happen. Listen, gentlemen, we're already at time, but thank you so much for joining this call and so much value and nuggets that you've given us for everybody. So once again, thank you for your time, and thank you to our audience for tuning in and listening. Be sure to check out our next LinkedIn Live, which will be, I believe, on the 17th, and that will be around our RCS messaging channel. So be sure to tune in for that. Thank you, everybody, and take care. Good night. Bye.